Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll chant Bhaja Govindam, verses 6 to 10.
यावत् पवनो निवसति देहे तावत् पृच्छति कुशलं गेहे गतवति वायो देहापाये भार्या बिभ्यति तस्मिन् काये बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीसक्तः वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तासक्तः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न सक्तः काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारोऽयमतीव विचित्रः कस्य त्वं कः कुत आयातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः सत्सङ्गत्वे निस्सङ्गत्वं निस्सङ्गत्वे निर्मोहत्वं निर्मोहत्वे निश्चलतत्त्वं निश्चलतत्त्वे जीवन्मुक्तिः वयसि गते कः कामविकारः शुष्के नीरे कः कासारः क्षीणे वित्ते कः परिवारो ज्ञाते तत्त्वे कः संसारः.
We have seen up to shloka number 7. So in this 7 shlokas, he's been talking about focusing on the essentials vis-a-vis the non-essentials of life, trying to shift the attention from the impermanent aspects to the permanent aspect of life. So he says, everybody is caught up in something or the other. Balastavat kridasaktaha, tarunastavat tarunisaktaha, vriddhastavat chintasaktaha, parame brahmani kopina saktaha. This is shloka number 7. When you are a child, you are caught up in the toy world. Then when you are youngster, you are caught up in your own passions, career, etc. When you become old, you are caught up with worries, anxiety. What's going to happen to my grandchildren? What's going to happen to my wealth? What is going to happen to my company? What is going to happen to this? What is going to happen to that? Constantly worrying. So therefore, he says, so long as there is childhood, one is attached to play. So long as youth lasts, one is attached to damsel, the opposite sex. So long old age lasts, one is attached to worry. Then he says, parame brahmani kopina saktaha. Who is ever attached to the supreme reality? When we have everything functioning normally, perfectly, we waste the time in the non-essentials. And then when our life is almost at the end, that time suddenly we wake up. So please, will I get a second chance? Will I get another chance? Let me think of Brahman. Let me think of the realities. Be serious. So that's why Sant Kabir says, Dukh mein simran sab kare. During Corona, the class members increased. Suddenly, especially all the more the classes were mostly online. So people from anywhere and everywhere could sign in and then they joined. And, especially in the beginning of Corona, there was a lot of uncertainty. People didn't know what's going to happen. They were not getting their salaries. A lot of people were caught in fear, what's going to happen. They had to pay their EMIs. It may not be worry of few people, but so many people are living on EMI. So some companies said, we won't take you out of the company, but you won't get the salary. Some companies said, we'll pay you half. Very few companies probably paid the full salary. So they were not sure what's going to happen to them. And some of the people were dying also. And then they couldn't go to the hospital when they were admitted. So much of confusion, right? So that time, suddenly everybody becomes very aware. Let's think of what to do. Like I said, when there is shortage of water, you will be able to live with just a mug of water. Just one mug of water, you will probably be able to live. But when there is enough water coming, when things are going on fine, you don't become cautious. You won't be careful. That awareness is not there. So generally in life, when the body is functioning fine, everything is going on fine, no problem, you take it easy. You take it for granted. So Adi Shankara says, having taken it for granted, you are preoccupied with some nonsense. At that age, child is stuck in toy world. And when you grow up and you become youngster, you are stuck in that world, youngster's world. The sports car, opposite sex, career. These are the things they are interested in, isn't it? They are stuck in that. And similarly, when you grow old, you are stuck in worries and anxieties. What's going to happen to me? How many people will attend my cremation? You understand? That's another worry. So, he says, therefore, nobody ever thinks of reality. So, in short, when he says this, what he wants to say is, now when things are fine, now is the time you should invest in the inquiry into self. You have fun, but not at the cost of inquiry into the self. Vedanta is not saying, therefore you should not be at your level and be enjoying your world. No. But at what cost? You understand? We are not really dwelling over the realities of life. When you have the faculty called the buddhi, why do we say that human being is the chef d'oeuvre of creation? If you are a chef d'oeuvre of creation, it's because of the buddhi. And buddhi means you should inquire, you should question. If you question, you won't get into any quagmire. You won't get into bondage. See, the moment you say free, without questioning, everybody runs there. I'm just coming back from Middle East. There, certain shops permanently sale is painted there. It's because there's a lot of tourists coming in and going, right? It's mostly tourists. Sale is permanently printed there. Usually here you will find sale during winter, sale during summer, something like that. There permanently a sale is written. Right? So the moment you see sale, means you're going to get 1 free, 2 free, you don't question. You just run. Similarly in life, without questioning, we are leading our life. That is all Adi Shankara is saying. Adi Shankara is not saying, if you are a child, don't play with toys. At what cost? You should grow up. We have not grown up. What we have done is, we are still retaining our childishness. We have mentioned this in our other class also once. We have to move from childishness to being childlike. Isn't it? When you are grown up, you will be childlike. Lot of energy, being in the present. These are all the typical qualities of a child. Isn't it? Child will have tremendous energy. Remains in the present. No worries of the past, anxieties of the future. So if you have these qualities, you are a grown-up. Otherwise, you are childish. You are only holding on to your attachments. What has happened is only the toys have been replaced with another set of toys. Instead of pebbles and marbles and dolls, you replaced it with name, fame, power, position, family, status, money, etc. So therefore, he says, you got to learn the lessons, start the process of inquiry. And then he gives, in the next shloka, he's asking us to inquire. But before giving that next shloka, he's cautioning us here in 7. He says, don't be preoccupied. As a child, you have to play with toy world, fine, play. But don't be preoccupied with it. See, you can't give this lesson to a child. But child is given as an example here. Right? But youngster and old fellow, you understand? You at least start the process of inquiry, man. How to live? Is this the right way to live? In the Ashtavakra Gita, sage Ashtavakra says, you should learn from others. So many people have lived life before you, and there are so many people living right now. You can learn from them. Everybody is chasing certain things. After having achieved that also, still they are continuing to chase something or the other. So what's the purpose of life? What is all this? Is this the way to live? Do I also want to live like that? There is this tendency to imitate, copy, bedchal, herd instinct. Everybody is doing the same thing, acquisition, enjoyment. Acquisition, enjoyment. So I am also continuing in the same direction of acquisition, enjoyment, without questioning. Is that the end all and be all of life? Should question. So when he says, who is ever attached to the supreme reality? Meaning, who is ever even aware of something beyond this acquisition and enjoyment? Everybody is preoccupied. Actually, there is no way you can talk to anybody. No one is available. Honestly speaking, there is nobody available. That's why Upanishadic masters, they never came out and gave lectures or anything of the sort. Whoever sought them, went to them, questioned them, then they give the answer. In fact, there is this Upanishad called Prashna Upanishad. 3 students, after having spent time in inquiry, go to the Guru and ask a question. The Guru says, come back after 1 year. If I know the answer, I'll tell you. Now, if I tell you next week you come, you won't come. You understand? In today's condition, supposing you ask me a question and I say, I will give you the answer, you come next week. You will get lost here, you will go to somebody else, or you will type it in the Google and try to find the answer. Isn't it? But if you are really wanting a solution, you will come back. Like, if some serious issue is happening in your body, and the doctor is suspecting that it could be some serious cancer or something. So they have taken out some part from your body and it has been sent for biopsy. It takes few days for the results to come.
Yes.
And he says, after a few days you come. We'll discuss. Because the results will take few days to come. So after 3 or 5 days, I don't know how many days, you come back. You will promptly go there.
Yes.
Because you want to know. And you are praying as best as you can to see that it is not malignant. And it should not be 3rd or 4th stage, etc. Because you are very seriously interested in it. But that's not how we are really questioning nowadays. Just like that, you ask a question, you're only looking for answer to quench the curiosity of your intellect. You understand? It's not a life and death matter for you. So that's what I'm saying. People are not available in the sense, it's more of curiosity. Because we think, this is not going to happen to me. Uncertainty is happening to everybody, every minute. You got to be extremely ready within. This inner preparation is Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam is all about inner preparation. and only relying on the truth, the reality, and not relying on the untruth. You know. So, strictly speaking, if you understand Vedanta, it will take your mind from relying on the world to God to self. World reliance to God reliance to self reliance. The only thing that is permanent, rely on that. So you got to find out which one is permanent. What can I rely on? Can I rely on the body? Can I rely on the beauty? Can I rely on the wealth? Can I rely on relationships? What can I rely upon? You understand? That nobody questions. And then you rely upon things that are not genuinely reliable. Right? And then you say, oh my God, Doka, I've been deceived. I've been deceived. Arey, who asked you to rely? See, a bird that is perched on a branch, it never relies on the branch. It relies on its own wings. Isn't it? So, when the branch breaks, beautifully the bird takes off. We got to develop such wings through thinking, through questioning. But foolishly, we rely on things which are not reliable. In the sense they are impermanent. You understand? That's all Bhaja Govindam is saying. Who is ever attached to the supreme reality? Nobody has time. When you have all the time in the world, your faculties are not functioning. Supposing at the age of 75, 80, you want to study Bhaja Govindam, and the teacher is talking and says, huh? Huh? 2-3 times because you are not able to listen, not able to hear. When the faculties are functioning, you are preoccupied. When you understand, अरे बाबा अभी बहुत पास आ गया मैं गोल्ड गेट के पास. You understand? Golden gate means heaven. So उसके पास आ गया, I've come very close to that. So now I want to study these things, but then faculties are not working properly, not able to sit, not able to stand. ये नहीं कर पा रहा है. So therefore he says, now when everything is functioning right, question, inquire. That inquiry you got to do yourself. See, we call our classes also as study class. Study class in the sense, you got to go back. 1 week we have a session. Maybe we'll do 1 verse or 2 verse, whatever, depending upon the shlokas. And then you go back and reflect upon that. It's the reflection that will help you more. Understand? Swami Ramtirtha very clearly says, any number of lectures are not going to help you unless you lecture to yourself. You can go on listening to any number of classes. You get fed up with one teacher, you can shift another teacher also. You understand? Teacher also has the option to shift the students, right? Students also have the option. But the point is, it is not going to help you. What is going to help you? The only thing that's going to help you is sitting down and doing the inquiry. And if you don't do that, you will continue getting caught up. Continue creating mess. Continue creating bondage. The way you have created bondage is through living life without thinking, without inquiring. The way to get out of bondage is through thinking, inquiring. You got to do that. So therefore he says, who is ever attached to supreme reality? So start the process now, he says. Shloka number 8.
काते कान्ता कस्ते पुत्रः संसारो यमतीव विचित्रः कस्य त्वं कः कुत आयातः तत्त्वं चिन्तय तदिह भ्रातः.
Kate Kanta. Who is your wife? Kaste putraha. Who is your son? Yes, extremely wondrous is this terrestrial attachment. Whose are you? Who are you? From where have you come, O brother? Brataha. Very lovingly Adi Shankara addresses the student as, O brataha, brother, reflect on the truth here. You must, here means now, in the present moment, in this world, here, in this world, at this moment, right now. Don't delay, don't postpone. See, what we do is, anything good we postpone. Anything pleasant, we immediately hold on to. You understand? Actually, it should be the other way around. Anything good, we should do it immediately. Anything pleasant, we should think, is it a trap? Kya hai? That's how you get trapped, no? Buy now, pay later. Trap. It's a trap. We all fall in the trap. In fact, in Tamil, the word for senses is, in English when you translate it, it is trap. Pori. Pori is the word. I'm Bori, they say. Pori means trap. The senses trap, you know. Through the senses, the world enter. And then we register and we are experiencing certain pleasure and you are trapped. Then you say, Dil mange more. And you go, get trapped. So therefore, the very word for senses, they gave it as Puri. Like, in the Viveka Chudamani, Adi Shankara gives another beautiful shloka. Kuranga matanga padanga meenam mringa narapanja brenjidakim. He gives example of 5 species who have, each one of them having weakness for one sense and getting trapped and destroyed by that. Like, fish has weakness for taste. It goes and gets caught in the bait. Yes. Isn't it? And it dies. Similarly, deer has weakness for sound. So, the hunters, they beat the drums and the deer comes and they shoot it. Bee has weakness for smell. It enters a certain flower and the flower closes, perishes. Bee has weakness for sight. The moth. Moth has weakness for sight. It enters the flame and perishes. Elephant has weakness for skin, touch. During mating season, what they do is they dig a big pit, cover it up with grass. And the elephants come and get trapped in that. You understand? So he gives 5 examples from different species and says they all had weakness for one sense and they destroyed, they got trapped. And then he says, poor human being has weakness for all 5. Vringanara Panja Biranjidakim. May God be with him. You understand? So, the trap. How not to fall into the trap. How you fell into the trap by unquestioning. Isn't it? In the Bhagavad Gita, verse 62, 63 of chapter 2, what we call as the ladder of fall. He gives the ladder of fall there. Now the ladder of rise is given in the next shloka, here, verse number 9. The ladder of fall in Bhaja Govindam, in Bhagavad Gita, he says, it starts off with what? You remember? Thought. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. It all starts with a thought. You understand? And then you keep on ruminating over that particular object or vishaya, the senses, sense object. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. Attachment comes, sangha comes. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. From the attachment comes desire. Kamat krodhodbijayate. When your desire is interrupted, you get angry. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. Once you are angry, you are completely deluded. You don't know what you are talking, whom you are talking, how you should talk. Everything you forget. You say many things which you are not supposed to say. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti means memory. Smriti also means scriptures. Smriti bhramshat buddhi nasha. So when the anger comes, you get in delusion. In delusion, you forget what you studied in the class. Your memory goes. Then buddhi goes, he says. Smriti bhramshat buddhi nasha. Buddhi means intellect. Intellect is gone. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. And intellect is gone means everything is gone. उसके बाद क्या फॉर्म? There is no use. Do you understand? Therefore, he says, how you fill through attachment, which comes because of non-inquiry, lifestyle. A lifestyle which has no inquiry, no questioning. See, anything, for example, peer pressure. You will never be caught in peer pressure if you learn to question. So what? Everybody is wearing. If you wear that only, you will be respected. Why should I be in that group? Question. Or how I can be respected or not respected, why should I be bothered about them? Why don't you question all these things? You don't question. You develop peer pressure. You fall. You don't question. You understand? So, that's why we say a human being's life should be based on conviction, not on dictations. So we fall into this kind of bondage situation without questioning. So he says, therefore, kate kanta. Tremendous attachment is there with wife, children. You were born somewhere, she is born somewhere. When you were born, maybe she was not born. When she was born, maybe you were not born. You understand? And then you met somewhere, you liked each other, you got married. At that time your son was not there. You produced your son later. Right? Before that, so many other people were there. Now that these people have come into your relationships, you started thinking about them all the time. Now there is tremendous attachment. This is not only with reference to wife and son. See, wife and son are symbolic. All the things that you are wedded to. Wife means everything that you are wedded to. And son means all the products that comes out of such a wedding. You understand? That everything generally you are supposed to inquire. He is not talking about only wife and son. That's a symbolic this thing that he is putting to you. Question, who is your wife? Who is your son? Meaning, where was all this? Who were you? Who are you? Whose are you? This Janma you are having these people as your parents. This Janma you are having these people as your children. In this Janma, she is your wife. In this Janma, he is your husband. Previous Janma? Or previous Janmas? Just take the example of traveling in a train. Or even in the aircraft when you are going far away place. If you are taking a non-stop flight from India to US, it's about 15 hours. You suddenly develop, closeness with your fellow passengers. Isn't it? Swamiji says, people become so close short of exchanging horoscopes, he says. You understand? They become so close. Aap kalo, some people feeding each other also. That sort of a thing. Especially if you go from in this train, Jammu Tawi, which is from Kanyakumari to Kashmir. I believe it, I don't know how it is now, but those days I think it took 3 days. 3 days in a train if you go. You understand? You develop such closeness. And then, after you get down, your relatives have come to take you, their relatives have come to take them. You stand there, hug each other, introduce them. Hey, oh, you never say bye and leave. What is that? It is nothing but attachment. It's not that you should not have emotions, but attachment. That is what he's asking you to question. How did you develop this attachment, man? In such a short span of time? Where was your son before he was born? So all the great philosophers, anywhere in the world you find, they will ask you to do such inquiry. Like Khalil Gibran says, your children are not yours, they have come through you. You understand? So why are you developing that attachment? In fact, when Swami Ramtita says, attach you lose, detach you gain. In fact, when you are attached to your children, you lose them. You either make them a rebel or you make them a vegetable.
But when you're not attached also you lose them.
When you are not attached, I don't know what you mean is probably indifference. That is not the way to be, that is not non-attachment. That is indifference. Non-attachment is the middle path. Neither attachment nor indifference. Only then you can do the right thing for them. Only then you will do the right thing for them. When you are attached, you can't do the right thing.
Can you give an example of the middle path, Guruji?
See, indifference is don't care attitude. That's what probably you meant by saying, I don't care what happens to my son, what happens to my daughter. I'm just enjoying my life, party I'm having. That is indifference. Other is constantly riding on their back. That is attachment. The middle path, non-attachment, is being concerned. What is necessary for them? You as a parent have certain obligations, responsibility. You do that. But give them that space. And you also have your life to lead. Especially in India, sometimes when I do these sessions on parenting, seriously, initially I never understood this. But after 2-3 sessions now I start asking questions back. When they say, how do you deal with your son, this thing, that thing? Then I ask, how old is your son or daughter? They say 25. I said, you forget about it. That fellow is now a grown-up adult. You mind your own business. You have your life to live. You live your life. Let him live his life. Initially I used to answer thinking that they are asking about 10-year-old son. 25-year-old married, is having child also, and now you are thinking about how to deal with him. Let him live his life. Even a father or mother who is 78 years old, son is 50, 60 years old, still the father, mother think the son doesn't know how to live. They still feel that what is going to happen to my son when I go away. Tremendous attachment. So non-attachment is not overly possessive about them. Doing the right thing for them, giving them the space, dealing with love, understanding that they have their own nature, being at a distance and watching. Small mistakes, okay, let them do. Unless they are going to do some bigger ones, you don't have to interfere. Understand? That is how you function when you have detachment. Detachment is obligation underlined by witness. That ability to be a witness. Indifference is no obligation, nothing.
The attitude of being a trustee.
Yes, of course. That attitude of being a trustee comes, yes, correct. But generally, the trustee thing we talk about with reference to your possessions. Be a trustee. Of course, you are supposed to be a trustee with reference to children also, that way. Yeah. The non-possessive attitude. They have come through me, they have their own nature. So I have to be a soil for them to grow. I have not achieved this success in my life. I want my children to achieve. So I put them in karate, I put them in this. See, initially you expose them, yes, to find out what their Swadharma is. You can send them to, when they're small kids, you send them to Bharatanatyam, Karate, 2-3 things. Then you quickly find out, maybe this is not their Swadharma. But no, some people, they force the children to learn everything. The child is so tired, they don't understand that they are attached. You are trying to win all the, accolades through them. That is not possible. That's not correct also. So, therefore he says, question man. Kate Kanta. Kaste Putra. From where they come? Lord Buddha, once his father, when Siddhartha went and became Buddha, he left the kingdom, became Buddha, and he was in his own kingdom begging and living, So his father apparently went to him and said, Arey yaar, what are you doing? This is your kingdom, come back. I'm your father, you're my son, come. The throne is yours. Apparently Lord Buddha said, see, I was traveling in the train. You were traveling in the train rather. I came in between. I got into the train at a particular station. We were traveling together in the compartment. My destination came, I got down. Your destination comes, you get down. Why are you hanging on to me? That's what he's saying here. We have come here for a purpose. I should help you to grow. You should help me to grow. Rather than that, I'm trying to hold you on here. You are trying to hold me on here. That's not the way to function. See, any relationship, especially marriage, is what? Two people coming together, two families coming together to help each other to grow towards the divinity within. You understand? We have many desires at the material level, physical level, emotional level, intellectual level, at all levels. Fine, help each other to grow out of all that. Fulfill and grow out of it. That's what the Grahastha Ashrama is all about. You understand? Not to be stuck there. There's nothing wrong. Give a dharmic direction to the desire and see how you can get out of it, how you can grow out of it, rather than being stuck in that. Isn't it? That's the idea. So, unnecessarily having come, you start becoming very possessive. And when you're possessive means what? You're also trapped. When Swamiji gives this example in the book Vedanta Treatise. When a person ties a rope around the buffalo and holds on to the rope and says the buffalo cannot move anywhere because I am holding the rope. Swamiji says, go and ask the buffalo. Buffalo will say the same thing. This fellow cannot move anywhere. You understand? So, when you become possessive about anything, whether it's object or being, you are also possessed. The way to become free is by becoming what? Non-possessive. Understand? If you are possessive, you are bound. So you question, how did this attachment happen? Why did I let this attachment happen? Even in the class, one day I remember where Aarti is sitting now, I don't know, somebody else was sitting. And suddenly, when Sarikaji came in, they said, this is Sarikaji's seat on the left. It's okay. For some people, for convenience sake, some back problem, whatever, certain seats are good. But otherwise, even in a class which we come once a week, we get attached to the seat also. See, for convenience sake, it's fine. I'm saying mentally how the mind works. We should try to get rid of all attachments. The moment you find that you are getting attached to something, you should do something to get rid of that attachment. You get attached to Delhi, you get attached to cities. See, that's what is happening. No? All the teams' name, if you see in soccer clubs and cricket clubs nowadays, this IPL and all that, all on city. And many of the teams, nobody is from the city playing in that team. You understand? They are from different countries playing. But you are stuck there because of the city's name. Your attachment somebody is exploiting or what? I don't know. You understand? Everybody is attached to something or the other. Got a question, why? Okay, I'm born in this city. I've grown up in this city. I'm obligated to this city. I'm also, when I'm born in this city, I'm also born in the world. So I have obligation to the world also. You understand? I got to be a patriot as well as be spiritual. You understand? Otherwise, my patriotism should not become an attachment. Anything, can become an attachment. Your relationship with your guru, you got to be grateful, obviously. You understand? But then, it should not become a stumbling block. Swami Ramtirtha gives this example. He says, when, Mahabali, in that story, Mahabali story, he didn't know that the person who's come asking Yachaka is Mahavishnu. Lord Vishnu has come as Vamana, the shortest dwarf being, and he is asking for something, and Mahabali says, whatever you ask, I give. He says, okay, give me 3 steps of land that I could measure with my feet. He says, okay, I'll give you. Before he is giving, Mahabali's guru, Shukracharya, is telling, Arey yaar, this gentleman who's come is not just a Vamana, he is Mahavishnu. Don't give. But Mahabali says, no, once given means given. I will give. And then Mahavishnu grows with 1 step. He takes that Vishwarupa, universal form. With 1 step he covers the entire earth. With another one he covers the whole of heaven and everything. Then he says, where will I keep my 3rd step? That's the story. He says, keep it on my head. He becomes humbled. Right? So, that story Swami Ramtirtha quotes and says, even if your guru is coming in between you and the reality, you should be able to always focus on the reality, not your guru. Only in such situations. In the sense, your gratitude should not become a stumbling block. Whether it is to the guru or parents or anybody. One is not having gratitude at all. That is another worst thing. Being ungrateful. Other is allowing the gratitude to become a stumbling block. Your patriotism should not come in the way of your growth. You understand? Nothing should come in the way of your growth. Growth, when I say growing to that supreme self, that is what we call as growth. Becoming childlike, we explain that. You understand? So if anything is coming in between, you should say sorry. So that is why he's saying, you got stuck here. Right? While you could do the inquiry and be free, you got stuck. So therefore he says, now start the process of inquiry. Who is your wife? Who is your wife? It's not as if you don't know who your wife is. You know, of course you know. You understand? What he means by saying, who is your wife means, where was she before she was conceived by her parents? Right? Food digested by the parents. Through that, they are able to produce the children. And the food comes from earth. Who's given that? The farmers and so many people have worked. The sun and the moon has worked for it. So many things has contributed for it. Right? But that's not how you look at anybody. If you have already done such reflections, then you understand, okay, this is a arrangement for which we have come together to help each other to grow, not to become possessive with each other and pull down, you see. So therefore he says, who's your wife, who's your son? Inquire. Do this inquiry. Supposing you were told, without your knowledge, due to the mistake of the nurses in the hospital, your child was exchanged with another child in the hospital and you didn't know. Swamiji again gives this example in the VT book. It talks about children belonging to 2 different religions. exchange in the cradle by mistake. Hindu child is brought up as a staunch Christian, and the Christian child is brought up as a staunch Hindu, and each one fighting against the other. This is the kind of stupidity we are all stuck in. So, when you say, my son, what in the son is yours? If you say your sperm, your egg, how did you produce that sperm or egg? With the food that you digested. From where did that come? So many factors have contributed for it. So what in the son is mine? That is what he's asking. So when you go deeply, you will realize that essentially, they are also nothing but the self. You are also nothing but the self. Self in one form is your wife. Self in another form is your son. Self in another form is you. So, from the relative reality angle, you are the father, mother, children, etc. So, from the relative reality angle, there are certain obligations, duties, etc. Do that, but don't become attached. Understand that it is all at the relative reality level only, not from the absolute reality level. That if you understand, no problem. That's all he's saying. So, who is your wife? Who is your son? Extremely wondrous is this terrestrial attachment. How it happens, you don't know. See, before the son was born, there was no attachment, especially with reference to children. Son was not there, daughter was not there. Now that they have come, you are so preoccupied, anything happens to them, happens to you. Right? So it's all in the mind. It's all in your mind. That you got, so therefore the actual samsara is in your mind only. The samsara is not outside, it is in your head. So extremely wondrous is this terrestrial attachment. See, wondrous because it appears to be there, but when you question, you understand actually there is nothing. It's all in your head. Whose are you? Who are you? In this Janma, you are Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, daughter of So-and-so, son of So-and-so, grandson of So-and-so, in this Janma. Right? But is that you really? Who are you? Do that inquiry, he says. From where have you come, O brother? Very, very lovingly, Adi Shankara addresses the students and says, brother. Out of tremendous concern, he says, you are wasting your time. Time is not going to wait for you. It's constantly flowing. Isn't it? Constantly flowing. So he says, oh brother, reflect on the truth here, now. Right now. Whatever age you may be. So this fellow was trying to memorize grammar rule instead of reflecting on the truth. That is all he's saying. What is it that you are doing, man? Instead of reflecting on the truth and bringing about the transformation within, why are you wasting your time in all the frivolous matters? The grammar rules you are trying to memorize. Petty things you are fighting with each other. What I said is correct, what he said is wrong. See, even in the philosophy circles, there are different schools of thoughts, right? You have Advaita philosophy, Dvaita philosophy, Vishishta Advaita philosophy. People fight with each other. In engineering, we study something called as isometric view. A building, when you see, there are different views you have of the building. Front view, side view, top view, rear view, isn't it? So you're supposed to do the diagram. In the engineering drawing, we do that. So when you do the isometric view, you see the side view, the top view, separately you draw. Completely different, but the same building. Everybody is talking about that reality. One school of thought is saying it's Dvaita, dualism. Another school of thought is saying it is Vishishtadvaita, qualified monoism, right? And the other school of thought is saying it is Advaita, it is non-dualism, and people fighting with each other. Within that there are groups. In Visishtadvaita, there are groups. In Tamil Nadu, they call themselves as Vadakalai and Tenkalai. And they also fight with each other. Small differences in their theories, here and there. If the gurus were there, they must be really wondering why did we even, teach these fellows? No, really, honestly speaking. So that's what he's saying. Reflect on the truth, man. Nobody is really concerned about Brahman. My concept of Brahman should be accepted. Have I realized Brahman? Have I realized the truth? That I don't care. But my concept of reality is what everybody must accept. Can we all not coexist with all our different views? Is it not possible? No. I want my views to be accepted by somebody. We want to dominate. Ego comes in there also. My Brahman, my Advaita philosophy, my Guru, my ashram. So therefore he says, oh brother, reflect on the truth here. Actually, if you really look into the matter, you will find hardly anybody is really interested in the truth. Hardly anybody is really interested in the truth. The way I have understood the truth, that is what everybody is interested in. I. You're not really interested in the truth. So all he's saying is, what matters is the truth. But that nobody, in fact, in short, what he's trying to say is, hardly there is anybody who spends time on inquiring truth. Always in all the scriptures I've said this. In the Upanishads, I think we have studied Kena Upanishad, no, here? The Kena Upanishad also says, Bhuteshu vichitra dhiraha pretyasma lokad amrita bhavanti. Rarely one fellow of all the beings questions the reality. Of the people who question the reality, rarely one person is really interested in the reality. Something or the other we are all lost. We can go to an ashram to study Vedanta, right? You come from different place, I come from different place. We are there together, we get involved with each other. And then in the group discussion, we can fight with each other. My view versus your view. In short, how the mind functions, for that reason we are discussing this. We got to be very careful not to develop that attachment. Constantly remembering what is the purpose for which we are here. Not giving up till we find the truth. The only thing that we should be really interested in is the truth. If something is not helping us to get to the truth, we should give it away. See, people out of their fondness and love, they may give certain things to you as gifts, But if it's not useful for you in the path to your goal, what's the point in hanging on to it? Give it to somebody else for whom it will be useful. Redistribute it. What's wrong in that? No. I want to hold on to it. No, when I was talking about this in one seminar, one fellow asked me, what is this? My father had given me a watch. I'm holding on to that watch, though I have many other watches. I'm holding on to that watch, even though it's not running. Out of sentiment, I'm keeping that watch. What is wrong in that? I said, in fact, he is the only one who came late for the seminar. So I said, there's nothing wrong, have 10 watches also. But watch is meant for you to come on time. You understand? After you're talking so much about this, sentiments about watch and all that, but you came so late, 15-20 minutes late he came. And he asked this question. And I told him, listen, there's nothing wrong. You must have sentiments. But you should not become sentimental. Yeah. So everything in life,
Very thin line between that, right?
it's not a thin line, it's actually a very strong and thick line, but our thinking is so poor that we are not able to decipher. That's why I said, no, either you find people who have no gratitude or they are stuck in gratitude. Similarly, no sentiments or they become sentimental. You have a sentimental value towards your parents, whatever they gave you. It's not how much it costs. Jewelry, something, maybe even a fake jewelry that your mother was wearing. But when she's gone, you are holding on to it. You keep that. With that, you should remind yourself of certain values that she taught you through her living. Then it has some meaning. Simply holding on to that object, my mother, and every now and then, a few drops of tears, and then you become very sentimental. Even when it is obstacle, you still hold on to it. Why? Why should you do that? There are certain products which is lying in our houses, which has been given by our parents maybe, and we have not used it at all, and we are not going to use it at all. But you find there are so many people who can use it. Why don't you give it away? You just cannot. It's nothing but mental attachment. Nothing but mental attachment. So that is what you must understand. You should have sentiments, but not become sentimental. Right? So, if anything that you have, whether material, physical, whatever, it all should help you to get back to your goal. In this context, we are talking about the truth as the goal. Ultimately, everybody's goal is truth, whether they realize it or not. Right? So, Adi Shankara here says, inquire about the truth, man. That should be your interest. So many things will come on the way. Why you get stuck? Huh? Not develop one fresh samsar. Are you with me? Anything that comes in between you and your goal, you should be ready to sacrifice that. Otherwise, it's impossible for you to grow or move. You'll be stuck there. People will keep coming and giving you many things. You understand? You should say, sorry, thank you. I don't want it. If you have intellect, you will say that. If you don't have intellect, you will get bound. Waste few more years in that. So therefore, he says, reflect on that truth here, now, right now. Because next minute, whether you will be there, what will be the situation, you have no idea. When there is time, you should dedicate it for inquiry upon the self. That's your main purpose or only purpose. Everything else is fun. A child holds on to a pillar and swings herself. The children play that game, no? Mm-hmm. They hold on to the pillar and they swing around. Yeah. Like that, you hold on to the truth and swing around. Have fun. Our main purpose is this. All the other things are by the way. They are all indirect, whereas that is the direct. That's all he says. Inquire about the truth. This whole verse, in fact, many verses are there in this Bhaja Govindam. He will keep on mentioning, inquire, 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 inquire. You find out, anywhere I am trapped, where I am attached, where I feel I am bound, you would have not questioned. Now you sit and question, you can come out of it. But sometimes you don't develop that courage. The moment you question, you'll see what nonsense I'm doing. Why am I doing this? For what? Whom am I satisfying through this? Why should I continue doing this? The moment I question, I can come out of it. But then it requires a lot of courage. So that's what he's saying. You must at least wake up now. Here and now start questioning. Reflect on the truth here. Inquire. Start the process of inquiry. That's the only thing that will help you. Every time you meet Swamiji, he will say, are you getting up in the morning and studying? What is he interested in? He is only interested in you moving towards the truth. You can come, you can do whatever you want, but if you're not studying, he'll say it's not going to help you. If you're not going to do that, you won't wake up. You may be having a fantastic dream. You may be in a spiritual dream, not in the reality. What is the use? You're doing everything fine, but you're still in spiritual dream. The idea is to wake up, not to remain there. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyairva Buddhyatmana Va Prakriti Swabhavat Karomi Adhyad Sakalam Parasmai Narayana Yeti Samarpayami.